South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has been cleared of any wrongdoing in the scandal that has been linked to his private game farm that has been engulfing the country for nearly a year. Everyone has been talking about the Phala Phala scandal. The investigation was conducted by South Africa's Office of the Public Prosecutor. They were looking into whether the statesman was involved in any wrongdoing at his Phala Phala farm by not reporting the theft of 8 million rand in US dollars from the farm in February 2020.
But the acting public prosecutor's preliminary report found that there was no basis to conclude the president contravened the executive ethic code. It has, however, implicated various other parties who have 10 days to make submissions on the report before a final version is released to the public. Joining us now to discuss and give us more insight on this is the managing director at MVR Attorneys, Mathodzi Rashimbilani. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning to you and your viewers.
All right, let's get into the conversation. The public prosecutor's report clears the president of any wrongdoing, but he has said that there are parties that have been implicated and have been given 10 days to respond before the final report is given. Talk to us about these parties. Who are the parties that have been implicated and how have they been implicated?
I think maybe before I get into the parties that have been implicated, just to clarify the role players in terms of law enforcement in South Africa, the report that is under discussion this morning is the report of the public protector, which is really the public ombud as opposed to the public prosecutor. As we understand, the matter is still under investigation by the police and the prosecuting authority. But the report that we have, in fact, it's not quite the final report yet, but it's a notice to those who may have been implicated in the report by the Office of the Public Protector, and it's a notice that affords them an opportunity to make any remarks or make any comments, maybe interview witnesses if necessary. And at this stage, it's not a final report. It's a preliminary report by the Office of the Public Protector. And maybe to go a little bit onto your question, the parties that have been named and the Office of the Public Protector has accepted that the report that's been circulating is actually from their office. As we understand it from media reports, this is the head of the Presidential Protection Services and some of the employees at the president's farm.
Oh, very interesting. As it stands now, is the president in the clear, as it has been stated by the public prosecutor, or, we're still going to have to wait till there's a final report?
Yes, indeed. So what this is a notice in terms of the Public Protectors Act, Section 7. And as I said, the Act provides that in the course of the public protector doing her work, if she is minded or if she comes to the conclusion that certain people may be adversely implicated by her report, she is then duty-bound to give them a notice to inform them that they are being implicated. And I think how they do it practically is that they give the potential implicated parties a copy of the report to let them have a look at it, peruse it, and make input. And as we understand it, this, what one would call a draft report, has cleared the president. It lays blame at the door of his protection services and his employees. Now, given the fact that the report is still at its preliminary stage, it is not inconceivable that the implicated parties may produce further evidence or make further input that may change the text of the report, including the possibility of the president being found in the wrong. But at this stage, as matters stand, the preliminary report seems to suggest that he's in the clear.
Okay, so this is not, for now he's in the clear, but we will get to know for sure when the final report is released. And let's talk about something that the Democratic Alliance did say. Last week, they said that Ramaphosa was in contravention of the Revenue Services Customs policy, saying that people needed to declare their foreign currency upon arrival in the country. The Revenue Service has, however, said that Ramaphosa is compliant. Is there maybe some contradiction here, and can you maybe help us shed some light in this regard?
Look, I think the first point to make is that there are multiple agencies that are looking at this matter. one of which was the Office of the Public Protector, the report or the preliminary report that we are discussing this morning. The other agencies that are looking at this would be the National Prosecuting Authority and the police. So that is to investigate whether there was any criminal conduct. The revenue services are also interested in this matter because matters of this nature sometimes, potentially lead to failure to declare certain income. And as we understand from media reports, they are busy investigating that. But the report that was made last week by the revenue services, all it said was that as far as they can ascertain from their records, the president has always complied with his taxes. The farm itself has also, the business that runs the farm has complied with its taxes. And as far as they are aware, there are no, any tax defaults. Now, obviously that, it's one step positive for the president that the revenue services are saying he does not have any undeclared income. But that is not to say, the investigation has not revealed, has been concluded. It had nothing to do with the investigation. All it said was to present the compliance of the president as at the time that the report was made. So, as I said earlier, there are multiple agencies because there's involvement of foreign currency, and the allegation is that the foreign currency was in the president's farm for more than a month until it was stolen. In terms of our exchange control regulations, there's a requirement that if one were to do a cash transaction in hard currency, as it seems to be the case in this incident, they are then required to convert that money into local currency and notify the Reserve Bank accordingly. So as we understand it, the Reserve Bank is also running its own investigation, which one would say the currency regulation investigation, so to speak. So, that report we still await, and we have not received the final outcome of it.
All right. Quickly share with us, what do you think the next steps are, after the final report is released? And also, I want to, get the view, if you can share with us, the view of South Africans, with regards to this whole controversy involving their president.
Look, maybe briefly to talk about what happens after now. The affected parties have 10 days to respond. I'm sure they will make their input or elect not to say anything, after which the public protector will then issue a final report. These things tend to take time. In my experience, it may be a matter of months or weeks before a final report is issued. So that's one. As to what South Africans are saying, there's a lot being said. There's political views, there's ordinary people views, but my interest is, as a legal professional, I pay attention more to what my colleagues are saying. And I listened to an interview this morning by one of our preeminent legal experts who believe that the public protector might not have fully considered the issues, and he believes that there is a possibility that the president might still found to have done something wrong. So there are mixed views. As far as ordinary South Africans are concerned, there's an interesting view that we come from a history where, with the erstwhile president, there were allegations of misuse of state funds in a grand scale. Now, what seemed to be an interesting sort of social commentary, as you may understand, the money that was stolen from the president's farm, it's supposedly private funds. And people are saying, look, why bother? It's his money that was stolen. It's not the public funds. So we should not be bothered by that. But I think, all sort of the right thinking people would be very concerned that, a head of state is facing such potentially damaging allegations. So I would say public views are mixed. It depends where you stand, but it's a matter of constant and big debate within the country.
All right. On a final note, I'd like to find out, a further question as to what next steps involve. We're seeing different cases here. We saw a different report when it came to the Section 89 panel report, and now we're seeing a different result with the public prosecutor's findings. Now, should the final reports, when the final report is released, are there possibilities that any of the parties implicated will be able to appeal the findings if they're not comfortable with the result of the findings? Or is is this like a final nail to the coffin of the Phala Phala report?
Oh no, most certainly. So the public protector, it's an ombud, as I said. Her reports are subject to review. So if the report is negative, as it seems to suggest to some of the parties, they are fully within their right to go to the courts and challenge the report and through a review process, either claiming that it was not done properly from a process point of view, or substantively it's found to be wanting. So typical in matters of this nature, the public protector's report, it's just step one. Then the next step will be a court review, which will start at the sort of the lower court. It can go on to the higher court. It may even end into the constitutional court. So by way of example, as the former President Zuma had many sort of reports against from the public protector, the biggest of which was to do with improvements at his private home. That report, give or take, from the time that the public protector issued the final report, I think it was only put to rest some 3, 4, 5 years later, having gone through the court process. So it's certainly a process that can be challenged in court, and one would expect that those who are implicated, if the report ends in this current version, are most likely to take the matters to the court for review.
It's going to be a long journey, it seems. This is just step one, and
Indeed.
we're of course going to be keeping up to date with the stories. I would like to have you again, when we maybe do get the final report. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Rashid Milani. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. My pleasure.